and place. So for me, I'm placing a lot of attention on my great-grandma because whenever I think of her, I just remember her peaceful mannerisms and her calm demeanor and how virtuous and kind she was to people. And that really calms me down. So just something to think about as you flow through your day. Can you focus on someone you believe to be peaceful and virtuous? And just notice how that impacts you as you go through your day if you keep bringing that person to mind. Let's start on your yoga mats. Do you like my outfit? I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start wearing things I like doing yoga in, even if they're a little bit weird, because I'm doing it at home. And, you know, who's going to judge me except for people who watch it on the interwebs? Today we're going to be working with something called proximal stiffness. And proximal means basically towards the torso, trying to keep the torso stiff, for lack of better words, as we move our limbs. So if we're always moving our torso when we're moving our limbs, then we don't get as much movement through the distal ends of the body because the torso is compensating. So today I want you to focus on keeping a little bit more stability basically through the core region. Please come to a comfortable seat and close your eyes. And can you take a deep breath into your body and a full breath out? And just take a few more deep breaths like this. And as you sit here, can you bring to mind that person you considered peaceful or virtuous, so that we place our attention on people who have qualities that we'd like to embody as well. And then please blink your eyes open. Reach both hands right out in front of you. Make fists with your hands. Externally rotate your arms so your biceps turn up towards the sky. And then take both arms up overhead so your biceps are level with your ears. And then notice as you did that, did your front low ribs flare out? So can you find that what we call proximal stiffness by drawing the front lower ribs down and into the spine? So you're not compensating through the spine for the lack of movement through the shoulders. You keep the spine and the core stiff as you reach your arms up, so that we ask for more movement from the shoulder girdle. Can you drive your fists up to the sky? Keep drawing the lower ribs in. Try to keep your chin gently pulling in so your skull is right on top of your spine. And then begin to bend both elbows straight back behind you, and try not to let your fists touch. Keep your hands away from each other. Notice if your elbows crept forward like mine. Can you keep your elbows pointing straight up towards the sky? And if you're like me, that's really hard. Keep hugging the elbows in. Try not to let them flare out to the side. Keep them shoulder width. Can you bring your fists a little more behind you? Try to get your forearms parallel to the floor. And then notice if you're beginning to back bend. Can you find proximal stiffness by drawing the front lower ribs in? Bring the fists a little bit behind you. Try to get those elbows and your upper arms vertical. Good. And now interlace your hands behind you. So bring your hands together. Notice how it's much easier. Interlace your hands into a tight fist and try to press that fist straight back. Notice if you're back bending. Draw your lower ribs down and in. Bring the elbows back a little bit more. Notice if you're jutting your head forward, can you keep it right on top of your spine? Observe if your elbows are spreading wide, can you hug them in? Draw your lower ribs in. Think of this almost as a core exercise. Keep bringing the forearms back, fists back, relax your jaw. Keep drawing the lower ribs in. Take one more breath. Good, and then exhale. Awesome, give your shoulders a little roll. And then please stand all the way up. Come to the top of your mat standing. Put your hands on your hips. Step your feet together. Lift your right knee up. And keep your hands on your hip bones. So again, can we find this proximal stiffness, including the pelvis? So try not to move your pelvis as you lift your right knee up as high as we'll go. Try to bring your right heel close towards your right butt and point your right foot. Keep your hands on your hips. We're gonna pulse our right knee up to the sky without moving the hips for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Try to keep your left leg straight. 4, 3, 2, and then 1. Nice job, everyone. Bring the right knee directly below your right hip. Keep both hips even. Notice if you're back bending already, try to draw the front lower ribs in. Lengthen your tailbone down, and now try to clamp your right heel to your right butt so you're turning on your right hamstring. Now the same thing, can you bring your right knee behind your right hip without letting your pelvis tilt forward? So keep your pelvis neutral and bring that right knee just a little bit behind the hip without distorting through the pelvis. And can you bring it back a little bit more? Notice if you're sticking your tailbone out, can you lengthen your tailbone down, low ribs in? We're gonna do 20 pulses. 20, 19, 18, 16, 17, 15, 14, 15. Notice if the knees swinging out to the side, try to keep it hugged in directly under the hip and pulsing straight back, just into, it's like 20 degrees of extension. 5, 4, 3, low ribs in. Notice how they get sneaky, 2, and then 1. Good, and then release the foot down. Other side, lift your left knee up. Keep the pelvis neutral. Point your left toes, clamp the heel towards the butt. Pulse the knee up. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Can you keep the whole torso, pelvis stable? Notice how it's usually easier with the leg in front. Okay. And now take the knee down. Take the knee back. It should only go about 20 degrees back. Most of us have about 20 degrees of hip extension without moving the pelvis. So keep your pelvis totally neutral. Lift the frontal hip points up. Draw your lower ribs down. Lengthen the tailbone down. Squeeze the left heel to the butt. Here we go. 20, 20, 19, 18. So these are very slow, controlled movements. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. Keep the lower ribs pulled in, the tailbone distending, the glutes are turned on. 5, 4, 3. Notice if the knee's winging out, hug it into the right leg. 2, and 1. Good. Release the leg down towards the ground. Take your feet so they're hip width wide. Hinge from your hips, bend your knees. Let your head release down towards the floor. Can you take a deep inhale into your body? Full breath out. Deep breath in. Full breath out. And take your hands behind your calves so your fingertips are pointing down towards the floor. Put a little bit more of a bend in your knees, bring your belly to your thighs. And once you feel that belly to thigh connection, or you're a little closer, try to straighten your legs just a little bit more. Press your hands and your forearms forwards against the calves as you press the calves back against the hands and forearms. Can you let your head totally release down? Let your head totally relax. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Lift the inner arches of the feet as if there's a bunch of ladybugs and it's raining. So you create a little home for the ladybugs, a little shelter by lifting the inner arches of your feet. At the same time, hug the upper arms in towards your legs, in towards your thighs. So your legs hug in through the use of the arms. Keep the inner arches of the feet lifted. Can you fold in maybe just a little deeper? Let your head release. Shoulders away from the ears. Take one more deep inhale. Full exhale. Beautiful. Please bring both hands down towards the ground and step back to plank pose. Can you take a deep breath in and plank? Steady breath out. Deep inhale. Steady exhale. Now keep pressing evenly through both hands. Try to keep the back of your head level with your spine. Can you lift your right ankle up so it's level with your right hip without moving the torso or the pelvis? So finding that proximal stability. Right foot comes down. Lift your left ankle up so it's level with the left hip. Notice if you're able to keep the pelvis and the torso stable. Lower the foot down. Take one more breath in plank. Exhale, come all the way down to the ground. Take your hands straight back behind you so your hands are by your hips. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, lift your legs. Roll your inner thighs up towards the sky and press your pubic bone down and towards the ground. Press the back of your head up. Can you take a steady breath in? Steady breath out. And 5 more breaths here. So taking some time to wake up the posterior side of our body. Can you keep the internal rotation of the legs? So the inner thighs are wrapping up. Your pubic bone is pressing down into the ground, creating space in the lower back. Can you press your hands into the floor and lift your chest a little bit higher? 1 more breath. Can you lift your chest higher, your legs higher? You can do it. Straighten those knees. And then exhale, place your hands beside your lower ribs. Keep your feet on the ground. Inhale, Cobra Pose. And then see if you can hover your hands just 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters off the ground. Keep the hands beside the lower ribs. Keep hugging the elbows in. Keep lifting the chest. Take 1 more inhale, Turbo Cobra, hovering those hands off the ground. And then put both hands down. Please push back to Child's Pose. Take a deep inhale into your body. Full exhale. Good, and then please come forward to all fours. Come down onto your elbows and your forearms. Just like we did earlier, interlace your hands together. Take your elbows so they're shoulder distance wide. Walk your knees back so that your torso comes to a diagonal angle. And then let your head soften down towards the ground. If you have blocks, you can put blocks under your elbows. Can you let your chest soften towards the floor? And notice that as you do that, you lose the proximal stability. Your back goes into a back bend. So at this moment, can you resist the back bend? Pull the front lower ribs in. Try to find that proximal stability, which means you engage through the core and you resist movement through the core of the body. As you find the lower ribs drawing in, can you push your elbows into the ground? Keep your ears between your biceps. And then try to bring your fist closer towards your spine. Keep pushing the elbows down. Keep drawing the lower ribs in. And now try to send your butt back and up higher. Send your butt back and up higher, keeping the lower ribs in, keeping the elbows pushing down. Elbows push down through the floor or blocks. 1 more deep inhale. Full exhale. Good. Please come onto your hands and knees. Downward facing dog pose. Please bend your right knee. Let your left heel drop heavy. Take a full inhale. Full exhale. Switch sides, bend your left knee, right heel drops heavy. Take a deep breath in. Full breath out. Good. Please turn your left foot out 45 degrees, like your left foot's in a warrior 1 stance. Bend your right knee a whole lot. And send your left hip back up and over to the right, so you're creating more of a side bend through the body. Take a deep inhale. Full exhale. And let's switch sides. Turn your right foot out 45 degrees. Bend your left knee deeply. Send your right hip back up and over to the left. Take a deep inhale into your body. Full exhale. Good. Come back to a normal downward facing dog pose. Both feet are parallel. Can you keep your head between your arms? Push the hands forward and down, send the butt back and up. Take 1 more deep inhale. Full exhale. Good, bend your knees, look forward, walk, walk, walk to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, hands all the way up towards the sky. Deep inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to your heart. And Surya Namaskar A, inhale, reach up to the sky. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back to plank pose. Lower chaturanga. Upward dog or cobra, inhale. Downward dog pose, exhale. Take a steady breath in. Steady breath out. 4 more breaths. Can you keep pressing through the inner hands? And as you ground the inner hands into the floor, can you wrap the outer shoulders back? Keep pressing the tops of your thigh bones back and up. And just notice if you've lost that proximal stability. So can you draw the lower ribs in slightly, finding a bit of stiffness through the torso rather than a back bend. Take 1 more deep inhale. Full exhale. Okay, step your feet together, walk them 1 foot closer to your hands. Come onto your tippy toes. Shift your shoulders so they're right over your wrists. Pause, option to stay here, or try 5 hops. Maybe get stuck in a handstand, bend your knees, hop. 4. Push the floor away. 3. 2. Try to hold your handstand if you can. 1 last breath or hop. Good, and then land your feet at the top of your mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Fold forward, exhale. Hands all the way up to the sky, deep inhale, reach up. Hands to your heart, exhale. Continue, inhale, reach the hands up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Think handstand, step, or jump, chaturanga. Upward dog or cobra. Downward dog pose, exhale. Steady breath in. Steady breath out. As you look back towards your feet, can you let both heels evenly release to the floor? Try not to let the head droop to the ground. Keep your head just between your arms. Notice if you're locking out through your elbows, you can keep a slight but active bend. Beautiful, and then please step your feet together, walk them 1 foot closer to your hands. Shift your shoulders so they're over your wrist, come onto your tippy toes. Option 1, just stay here for 5 breaths, working on that upper body strength. Option 2, you guessed it, handstand, bend your knees, hop. Hold for 5, can you keep your breath steady? 4, keep pushing the floor away. 3, notice if you're back bending in your back bends, can you find that proximal stability? Push the hands into the floor, pull the lower ribs in. 2. Good, and 1. Lower your feet all the way down to the ground. Halfway lift, inhale. Fold forward, exhale. Hands all the way up to the sky, deep inhale, reach up. Hands to your heart, exhale. Okay, bend your knees, sit your bum, Utkatasana. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Step or jump, chaturanga. Upward dog or cobra, inhale. Downward dog. Pivot your left foot out about 45 degrees. Step your right foot forward, warrior 1. 1 breath in, inhale. Exhale, right back down, chaturanga. Up dogs. Down dogs. Turn your right foot out 45 degrees, step your left foot forward. Inhale, Virabhadrasana. Exhale, all the way back down. Chaturanga. Up dog or cobras. Downward dog. Stay, steady breath in. Steady breath out. Eyes are focused and steady. Hands are evenly pressing into the floor. Tops of the thighs are going evenly back and up. 3 more breaths. Keep the eyes focused on one place. And please take your knees down to the ground. Come onto your elbows and forearms. Interlace your hands together. So take your elbows so they're roughly shoulder distance wide. Option for a head stand, or if you're not taking headstand today, you're just going to stay with dolphin pose. So please tuck your toes, lift your knees off the ground, stay in dolphin, or place your head on the ground in a way where your neck is neutral. Walk your feet in, and up you go, headstand. Wherever you are, can you focus your eyes so they're on one place? If you're in dolphin and you'd like more of a challenge, lift your right leg up. Okay. If your right leg's up, you're going to hold it for 3 breaths. So we're going to take 6 more breaths total. Regardless of where you are, can you push your elbows and your forearms strongly into the ground? As you push the elbows and the forearms into the ground, can you pull the lower ribs in? If you've got one leg up in dolphin pose, lower your right leg down, lift your left leg up. We'll all take 3 more breaths. See if you can get your head further from the ground. Even if you're in headstand, can you push so strongly your head could almost hover off the ground? 2 more breaths. Add 1 last breath. Okay, if you're up, slowly pike. And then come all the way down. Right into downward dog, everyone. No rest for the beautiful. The butt goes back and up. The head releases. Gently nod your head, yes. Gently nod your head, no. Take a steady breath in. Steady breath out. And step your feet together so they're like one tree trunk. Inhale, lift your right leg back and up. Can you keep both hips facing down? Now, just like the beginning of class, can you bend your right knee, bring the heel towards the butt? Now, can you lift that right knee up as high as it will go, but keep the frontal hip points lifting? So try not to move the pelvis so much, just move the leg. Now let's move the pelvis. Open your hips, let the pelvis open towards the right. Can you take that right knee a little more behind you? Can you bring your right heel a little closer towards your butt so you're really turning on the hamstring? Take 1 more inhale. Lift your knee a little higher. Exhale, step your foot all the way forward between your hands. Please turn your back heel flat. Warrior 2 pose, come all the way up. Can you bend deeply into your right knee? As you lunge into your front thigh, can you take your left arm a little more behind you so that the chest stays broad and open, especially across the left shoulder, as you turn your head to look forward over the right middle finger? Can you go a little bit lower in the legs? Can you breathe a little more dynamically through the rib cage, through the chest, so the breath supports you in the shape? Can you push the right heel a little more firmly down? So you might even feel your right hamstring and your right butt turn on nice and strongly, getting them ready for backbending, recruiting those powerhouses of hammies and butt to support us for the backbending that is to come. Can you go a little lower in the legs? Get a little taller through the torso. Keep looking straight forward. 3 more breaths. Can you embody that peaceful, virtuous qualities of the person you admire them from. 2 more breaths. Can you go into the fire, maybe go a little lower, get that front thigh a little more parallel to the ground. You got this. 1 last deep inhale. Full exhale. Okay. Inhale, both arms up, straighten your front leg. Exhale, pivot towards the left. Take both hands down towards the ground. Drop your right knee down towards the ground. Turn your left foot out 45 degrees. Let your left knee open to the left. First, bend your right knee and bring the right heel towards the butt without grabbing the foot. Just using the hamstring strength to take you into a hip flexor stretch. Okay. Turn the chest open. Don't even grab the foot yet. Just use the strength of your hamstring. Push down through the right hand. Scoop the lower belly in. Option to just stay here. Or take the left hand back and catch that right foot now. Maybe bring the foot a little closer to the bum. Lift the bum up a little closer to the foot. Pull the left heel back against the mat and pull the right knee forward against the mat. Maybe come onto your elbow or forearm. Turn the chest open to the sky. Take 2 more breaths. Deep inhale. Full exhale. 1 more deep breath in. Can you turn that chest open? Right knee pulls forward against the mat. Left foot pulls back. And then exhale, both hands come down towards the ground. And let's pivot back towards the front of the mat. Come to a lunge facing the front of your mat again. Bend into your right knee. And step back, downward facing dog pose. Come forward, plank pose, inhale. Chaturanga, exhale. Listen, back up, plank pose, inhale. Downward facing dog pose, exhale. Step your feet together. If you want, you can come onto your tippy toes a little. Lift your left leg back and up. Try to keep both hips facing down, just like the beginning of class. Bend your left knee, heel towards the butt. Try to clamp the heel towards the butt. Now try to lift your left knee higher, keeping your frontal hip points lifted, keeping that proximal stability through the core and the pelvis. Can you get your knee higher? Now let the pelvis move. Let the pelvis open up to the side. Get your left knee as high as it will go. Push through both hands. Can you get your left knee a little higher? Lower ribs pull in a little more. Heel of the left foot comes closer to the left butt. Clamp, clamp, clamp. And then exhale, pull the knee all the way forward. Step forward. Turn the back heel flat. Warrior 2 pose, come all the way up. I love doing that little open 3-legged downward dog because it teaches us to engage the hamstring and the left glute before we step it forward to Virabhadrasana 2. Can you bend into that front knee? Square your chest to the right wall. Look, just off the tip of your left middle finger. Can you go a little lower in your legs? Lengthen the torso up. If you're like me, I have a lot of tightness in my right shoulder, so the right hand often creeps forward. Everyone let that happen. Let your right hand creep a little forward. Now retract your right shoulder blade, which means draw your right shoulder blade towards your spine a little bit. And now take the right hand back so that it's reaching directly back behind the torso to the back wall. Good. Now go a little lower in the legs. Pull the lower ribs in. Maybe you're just rejoicing in this long hold like me. I love long holds. Keep a little bend in the elbows. And then with a sweetness, virtuous, peaceful face, look just off the tip of your left middle finger. Maybe you're like me, I can feel my left hamstring and my left butt working. I'm a little more sensitive to it after those 3-legged downward dog clamps. You go a little lower. Focus on your breath, breathe. 3 more breaths, it will be over soon. Two more breaths. Can there be a serenity even in the face of challenge? Let 1 last deep breath in. And out. Beautiful. Both hands to your hips. Head straighten your back leg. Pivot towards the back wall. Drop your left knee down towards the ground. Let your right foot and your right knee open out about 45 degrees-ish. Let your chest turn open. Bend your left knee, clamping your left heel towards your left butt. Please do not reach back to grab the foot. Just use your hamstring strength to encourage more openings for your hip flexors. Now reach back, grab the foot. See if you can bring it maybe a little closer. Keep lifting the frontal hip points. Pull the right foot back against the mat. Pull your left knee forward against the mat. Maybe come down onto your left forearm. Turn your chest open to the sky. Take 2 more slow, steady breaths. And 1 last deep breath in. And out. Wunderbar. Take both hands down towards the ground. Walk your hands all the way towards the front of your mat. This time, step your right foot forward. Right knee forward to the middle of your mat, and step your left foot back. Come to a kneeling position. So what's really important for back bending is eccentric strength of the quadriceps, specifically the rectus femoris. So can you keep your hips in line with your knees, your shoulders in line with your hips, in line with your knees? Cross your forearms. And then try to lean back in space without back bending. So everything stays in line. It's just leaning back. No back bend, just a lean back and then come forward. And if you're like me, you'll begin to feel it in your quads a little. So keeping that proximal stiffness of the core, low ribs in, tailbone down, no back bend, lean back. And then come forward. Good. Twice more, lean back. Maybe you go a little further, but notice once you start to back bend, you're going too far. So keep everything in one long line. 1 last time. Lean back. And then come forward. Nice. Both hands down towards the ground, downward facing dog pose. Take a deep breath into your body. Steady breath out. And please reach your right hand back towards the outside edge of your left calf. Bend your right elbow. See if you can turn your head to look underneath your left arm, coming into a bit of a twist. Keep pushing through the left arm. Take 1 more deep inhale. Full exhale. Right hand comes down. Left hand reaches back. Keep pushing through the right hand. Bend your left elbow. See if you can bring your head underneath your right arm for a bit of a twist. Deep inhale. Full exhale. Good. Both hands come down towards the ground. Think of a handstand. Bend your knees. Look forward. We're going to jump through. Maybe you pass through a handstand on the way. We're going to come to seated. So when you're ready, just cross your legs. Come onto your bum and sit down. Da, 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 da. Grab a block if you have one. If you do not have a block, do not worry. You do not need one. But if you have one, grab one and insert it in between your legs. So you're lying down. Block between your thighs. I usually place it at its usually skinniest width. If you have like a very broad pelvis, maybe you could do medium width. But usually I prefer skinniest width between the legs. Again, if you don't have a block, don't worry. Hands are down beside the hips. Press down into your feet, lift your pelvis up. Now everyone drop your pelvis, let's say like 5 to 10 centimeters, so it's not as high as it would usually be. Roll your inner thighs down, and then keeping your hands on your frontal hip bones, lengthen your tailbone forward towards the backs of your knees. So much so you feel your hips extend, they open a little bit more. Now can you keep that, the inner thighs rolling down, and the tailbone lengthening forward to the backs of the knees. And now push your shoulders down. Don't even worry about the hips now. Just push your shoulders down and open across the chest. Now can you keep all of that and put your hands on the ground? And now just lift everything up a bit higher, maintaining all of that work. Pushing the feet down, pushing the shoulders down, lifting the chest. Hold the edges of your mat with your hands. Try to pull the mat apart. So you roll more onto the outer shoulder, lift the chest up. Notice what's happening with the legs. Keep the inner thighs rolling down. There. Take one more deep inhale. Can you lift everything up? Good. Exhale, lower back down. Take a moment, pause. We have 2 more back bends. Option for the second one is Urdhva Dhanurasana. Option for the third one is Dvipada Viparita Dandasana. If you don't know what they are, God bless. No, I'm teasing. If you don't know what they are, don't worry about it. We'll go through them one at a time. If you're a little bit more mindful of your back today, for whatever reason, just stay with bridge pose that we just did. Otherwise, hands can come up beside your ears. Lift your pelvis up. Keep rolling the inner thighs down. Lengthen your tailbone forward. Push your shoulders down to lift your chest. Then come towards the top of your head. Good. Option to stay here. Keep hugging the elbows in, inner thighs rolling down, or press all the way up. Urdhva Dhanurasana. Take 5 breaths. 4. Inner thighs roll down regardless of where you are. And the thighs hug in. Tailbone lengthens forward. Push the hands down. 1 more deep breath in. Good. Wherever you are, slowly, slowly, slowly. Roll your spine back down to the ground. Take a moment, pause. Deep inhale. Full exhale. Hey, just observe how your back feels. If it's had enough, then just stay with bridge for one last time. If it feels good, you're going to do 1 more Urdhva Dhanurasana, or option to come into Dvipada Viparita Dandasana. Okay. Hands up beside your ears if that's appropriate for you. Last back bend, lift the pelvis. Maybe come to the top of the head. Maybe push all the way up. If you're coming into Dvipada, take the head back down to the ground. Tuck 1 forearm behind the head like headstand. Then the other forearm behind the head like headstand. Push the elbows down, lift the chest. Hold for 3. Breathe. Hold for 2. 1 last breath. If you're in Dvipada, put the head down first, release the hands, push back up, full Urdhva Dhanurasana. Then we will all come down nice and slow. Well done, folks. Take your feet mat distance wide, let your knees knock together. Constructive rest position. Place 1 hand on belly, 1 hand on wrists. Can you breathe into your hands? Let your shoulders relax. Let the muscles in your face relax. Good. And please take your feet so they're hip distance wide. Lift your shins up so they're parallel to the floor. Take your hands down beside your hips. And slowly lift your head and shoulders up off the ground, just coming into a little bit of what I'd like to call proximal stability. So as you lift the head and chest off the ground, if you need support for it with your head, take your hands behind your head, just finding a little bit of intra-abdominal pressure. So basically core. Lower ribs pull down and in, shoulder blades off the ground. Knees just slightly forward of the hips. Can you take 3 more breaths here? 2. Shoulder blades off the ground. Lower abdomen just pulling down towards the floor slightly. 1 last breath. And then release down towards the ground. Cactus your elbows nice and wide. Out along the floor. Take your feet mat distance. Let your knees windshield wiper to the right. Take your legs back up to center. Let them windshield over to the left. Come back up to center. Let your knees windshield wiper to the right. You let your jaw relax. Take your knees back up to center. Let your knees fall to the left. Hey, one more time at your own pace. And please place your right ankle on your left thigh. Gently push your right thigh away from you with your right hand. Option to stay here. Or hug your left leg in for thread the needle. Okay, regardless of where you are, can you let your whole face soften? Let your jaw relax. See if you can even let your shoulders relax a little. So you're embracing a sense of peacefulness, a sense of softening. Can you take a deeper breath in? And out. Beautiful. Switch sides. Left ankle on your right thigh. Gently push your left leg away from you with your left hand. Or hug your right leg in, interlacing the hands together. Can you allow your body to soften here? Can you let go of any need to be aggressive with the pose and just allow the pose to be, embracing more of a gentleness and a softness at this time in the practice? Can you take one more deeper breath in and out? And gently hug both knees into your chest. Give them a big squeeze. And just very gently rock yourself up to a seated position. Option to take either Baddha Konasana, knees open to either side, or Paschimottanasana, lengthen both legs forward. And slowly forward fold over your legs. Again, regardless of where you are, can you allow your body to soften on some level? Softness in the face. Softness in the shoulders. Can you really let yourself slow down? 2 more slow, deep, calm breaths. Can you really let your head just drop? Inhale, slowly come up. Slowly lie down onto your back. Prepping yourself for Shavasana, corpse pose. Turning the palms gently to the sky. Letting the legs and the arms totally relax. We'll take Shavasana all together as a community for just a few moments. Can you let yourself totally release? Totally relax. Please take a deeper breath in and out. If you'd like to stay here for a bit longer, of course, feel free to. You can make your decision here. Otherwise, wiggle your fingers and toes. Take your arms overhead, give your body a big stretch. Bend both of your knees. Roll onto your right hand side. Gently press yourself all the way up to a seated position. If you are seated, can you bring your hands together in front of your chest, palms touching? And as you flow through the rest of your day, can you pay attention to the people you're surrounding yourself with, or the people you're placing your attention on? As the Yoga Sutras say, you can steady and calm your mind by focusing on someone who is peaceful and virtuous. Namaste. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone.